Hello beautiful, my name's Mina. Welcome to my channel Mina Reads, and today I'm going to tell you about the top 10 spiciest books I read in 2023. Before we get into this, I do just want to say that I am a poly girly, so there's lots of poly romances on this list. So yeah, but let me know in the comments below if you would like to see a dedicated polyamorous, like why choose romance recommendations video from me. Let me know in the comments below. And let's get into this top 10 list. So in the number 10 spot, we have, I think it's going to be a pretty interesting one. I think it's going to shock some people. It's Beautiful Things by Emily Rath. A lot of people know of Emily Rath from her book Pucking Around. Okay, so Beautiful Things is about this young woman named Rosalie. She's 22 and she is near destitute and she's all alone, and she ends up getting a invitation from the Dowager Duchess to come to a party at the Duke's house. And so she decides to venture out and go to this party. On her travels, she ends up meeting this guy named Renly, who she has a lot of tension with, and he ends up being someone who lives on the Duke's estate. He is best friends with the Duke's younger brother, Lord James, and they are also best friends with another guy named Mr. Burke, who is a naval officer. And so once Rosalie gets to the Duke's estate and she's kind of spending the season with them, this is about her falling in love with all three guys and all three guys falling in love with her. And this is the perfect read if you are a Bridgerton lover. It has drama, it has mess, it has the ball gowns, it has the town gossip, it has the steam and the spice. And if you liked the vibe between Kate and Anthony in Bridgerton, you are going to love the vibes between Rosalie and Renly, and also the vibes between Rosalie and Lord James, because they both like hate each other, but you can tell the hate is really driven by this intense lust and passion that they have for each other. It's so good. So if you're a Bridgerton girl, you will really enjoy this. I think it really captures the essence of Bridgerton and what makes Bridgerton so fun for me, which is that it's very dramatic and it's very poignant, very fun, very romantic, but also super sexy. Love it. Okay, and the characters are just so memorable. I love them. I love their whole situation. It's just so good, so I would highly recommend it. Then in the number 9 spot, we have Twisted Games by Anna Huang, and this follows a princess and her bodyguard. So this is about Princess Bridget. She is the princess of Eldora, which is this small fictional European country, and she goes to college in the United States. And so while she's away from her family, they hire a bodyguard for her, and so she has this bodyguard named Reese, and he's like young, well, younger than her previous bodyguard. So he's young and hot and they have chemistry, but they also hate each other. I love the bodyguard trope. It just kind of can't be topped for me because I'm a huge fan of forced proximity, and I think that the bodyguard trope is like the perfect excuse for a forced proximity romance. So it just works for me so much. I loved Reese and Bridget. I loved their vibe. A lot of time passes in the story, but it never felt like too slow. It never felt like the pacing was off, and it was always just simmering with tension for me. I loved the vibe between Reese and Bridget. Like, their chemistry was just so good. And the crawl to me scene, I had to close the book when I read it, because the full body shivers that I experienced reading that scene, life changed. The throne room scene, what? Reese and Bridget are just so special to me. They're so special to me. You guys need to meet them if you haven't already. And Twisted Games is definitely my favorite in the Twisted series. If you enjoy the bodyguard trope, you will not be disappointed by it. It's so good. In the number 8 spot, we have Unstoppable by Sean. This is another bodyguard romance, and this one really starts with a bang, okay? And I mean that literally, because our protagonists are fucking in a closet in a club, because it was just that serious. They're getting it on and popping, and then this is a one-night stand that ends pretty abruptly. And our main character, Devin, she is a business owner, and she recently has acquired a stalker, and so she's not really taking her safety too seriously. So her father intervenes and he hires a bodyguard for her, and that bodyguard ends up being the guy that she had the one-night stand with in the first chapter of the book. His name is Derek. Derek is a very stoic, aloof, all about his job kind of guy, and Devin does not want him. She doesn't think that she needs him, and so there's a lot of push and pull and tension between them. This is one of my favorite romances of the year, and it's also incredibly sexy, obviously, because it starts with a bang and they continue to bang. The bangs are very fun, very there, you know, I love it. But the tension between them, the chemistry between them is so good. And Derek, he is one of the most like thoughtful heroes that I've read in a romance this year, and there's nothing sexier to me than a man who's thoughtful, than a man who's attentive to the character's needs and wants, even without her speaking them aloud. So one of the like sexiest moments in the book for me, which is insane, but one of the sexiest moments in the book for me is when Derek notices that Devon, she doesn't eat that often because she's on a medication that one of the side effects is that like she doesn't experience her hunger cues, and he's really worried about her. He's worried about the fact that she's not eating enough. So he just starts making her breakfast, and he talks about like, oh, like I have to make her eggs separately from mine because she doesn't like them this way, and he buys this special protein powder so he can make her protein shakes after her morning workout. Like you just can't name a sexier trait than a man who is attentive and really gives a fuck about you. There's gonna be nothing sexier than that. So that kind of like attention and care and like loving action just makes the physical intimacy between them, when it does like spark up, so much more intense and exciting to me personally, because it's clear he really cares about her like body and soul, and there's nothing sexier, there's nothing spicier than that to me personally. So I love this so much. Incredibly angsty romance, incredibly sexy. I loved it, and I thought the characters were really interesting people, so I would recommend it. All right, number 7, we have Sweet Heat by Lady Marie. This is a novella, and it is about this couple who wants a joint sugar baby. So they're on this sugaring website, and they end up meeting this girl named Elena. And so Elena ends up being matched through this sugaring website with Melinda and her husband Seth. And this is like a throuple sugar baby novella, and because it's a novella, there's not like too much plot for me to tell you about, but this is really sexy. This is for the bisexual girlies. Like, this is the bisexual dream, my bisexual dream. The way that they spoil her in every way possible, I need that. I want that. I got to have that. So it was just like, ooh, like I'm sweating just thinking about it. It was so sexy. It was too good. You guys need to read it. You need to read it. Like, it was so fire. Loved everything about it. All right, number 6, we have 3 Swedish Mountain Men by Lily Gold. This is about a woman named Daisy who, after experiencing some troubles at work, she kind of flees England, where she's from, and she goes to Sweden so she can be away from anyone that knows her. She happens to come at the absolute worst time. There is a huge blizzard rolling in, and she has a really terrible car, so her car breaks down on her, and she ends up being rescued by these 2 dudes, Cole and Eli. And so Cole and Eli take her to their cabin. So because of the circumstances, Daisy ends up spending this week shut in with these 3 dudes, the 3 Swedish Mountain Men, and this is about her like developing a relationship with them. Oh my god, like, oh my god, I've already spoken at length about how the forced proximity trope is going to do it for me every single time, and I loved this one. And I think that this is like a perfect winter read as well, because it just has the best winter vibes, you know, like lots of snow. They're making soups and hot cocoa, they're making snow angels and snowball fights and all that kind of stuff, but then they're also getting really steamy in the bedroom. I love it. I love everything about it. And I thought that the relationship between the 3 guys, because they're not in a like romantic or physical relationship with each other, they're all straight, or as straight as you can be while you're having group sex all the time, but they are not like emotionally intimate with each other in that way. And I thought there was something very fascinating about like the family dynamic that they had created, even though they were not romantic partners prior to introducing Daisy to their home and to their relationship. And I just thought that was so interesting. Like, it was played out in an amazing way, and I just love the group dynamic. I love the individual dynamics that Daisy has with each guy, and I thought all the guys were so sexy. So Riven, he's like this really self-serious like doctor. Please play doctor with me. Like, things that I could say would get the channel demonetized. I need Riven so badly, it's crazy. And then Eli, he's like really flirty and silly, and I loved him. He's always cracking a joke. A man that can make you laugh will laugh me right out of these drawers, so I need him. I want him, of course. And then finally we have Cole, and Cole is he's kind of a dick. Him and Daisy, they have the most tension in their relationship because Cole is kind of mean and she's mean right back, and like this snark between them, it was so good. It was so good. So if you love banter and you want spice and you want something that's kind of a cozy wintry read, You need this. It was just so good. I absolutely adored it. Okay, number 5, we're talking about Ghostex, you guys. This book is about a guy named Noel. He ends up inheriting this really creepy rundown house in New Orleans, and that house is being haunted by a really sexy ghost named Ruby. And Ruby is taking a lot of pride and joy in psychologically terrorizing Noel. And eventually she becomes able to like appear before him so he can see her visage, and they start developing a relationship. And when I tell you that this book has one of the craziest sex scenes I've read ever, it was so interesting. There's a lot of stuff going on in this book, but their dynamic and like the way that they're building a relationship, but she's a ghost. It's crazy. It's crazy, and it was hot. It was like, it was hot in a scary way. Hot in a creepy way. I feel like if you're like a horror girly and you know when something is supposed to be scary but it's kind of erotic,
mark me down as scared and horny.
It just has to be very high on this list because it had me shook, it had me shaken, it awoke something in me, and I will never be the same after having read it. And I think more people should read it. It's very, very severely underhyped, but it's a really, really fun and engaging paranormal romance, and it's so hot, so read it. All right, number 4, we have Always Practice Safe Hex by Juliet Cross. This is about 2 characters named Gareth and Livy, and this is also a paranormal romance. And so this is set in a world where paranormal creatures are known, but they kind of have their own little town that they're living in. It sort of reminded me of like True Blood or like The Originals or something like that. Like it had that sort of vibe. And this is a series that is about the Savoy sisters, who are a coven of witches. And so Livy is a witch and Gareth, he is a like Grim Reaper, and they are working together on this joint project, but they hate each other. So this is kind of like a work rivals to lovers story, but they are so sexy. Livy is a bisexual switch, and I'm in love with her. I don't know if I want to be with her or if I want to be her. I loved her. I admire her so greatly. She's so sexy, and the vibe between her and Gareth is incredible. 2 switches in a relationship, 2 switches with dirty mouths in a relationship. It just can't get much better than that. It just really, really can't. Also, the plot of this is really fun, and like the world building is really great because, like I said, it is set in a world where magical creatures are known, but they're sort of partitioned into their own like communities. So there's still some struggles between like the human world and the magical world. So there's lots of like world building stuff that's going on, and the actual plot stuff, like the work rivalry aspect, is really interesting, and it plays like a good role in the story. So it's not all smut, but the smut that is there, it's like, it's 10 out of 10, baby. And I definitely think more people need to be reading this series. And I was taken aback when I started reading this because I thought that the title was just kind of being, you know, a cute little punny joke. I didn't know that we were really being serious about how sexy the book was going to be. Like, I thought that it was going to be, you know, silly. I thought it was going to be a little tongue-in-cheek. I didn't know that it was going to be freak nasty and filthy, okay? But it definitely was, and I was shook to my core. Okay, babies, we're in the top 3 now. Are you guys ready? Number 3, it has drama, it has angst, and it's super
life does not. Oh my God.
So in the number 3 spot, we have Only for the Weak by Natasha Bishop. This is a story about Janelle, and Janelle is at a destination wedding for her younger sister, Amory, and her soon-to-be husband, Arnold. But the gag is that Janelle used to date Arnold, and after they broke up, Amory got with him. And so this story is about all of the drama and all of the mess that transpires at this destination wedding between Amory, Janelle, and Arnold. But Janelle does not want to be involved in any mess. She wants it to be a cute little day for her sister. She's there to support her as the maid of honor. Her sister is making life hell for her. One of the groomsmen, his name is Rome, and he decides that Janelle is just too beautiful to be as stressed out as she currently is, and so he kind of takes it upon himself to woo her and make sure that she has fun at this destination wedding. And so this is about them falling in love in the midst of all this angst and drama and silliness. And when I tell you that Rome is one of the sexiest fictional men of all time, he is the best. He is such a provider and such a caretaker. He is so thoughtful and sweet, and if you are a bookworm, you are going to swoon so hard reading some of the scenes in this book because Janelle is a bookworm and Rome takes interest in her hobbies, and like he starts reading one of her favorite series for her. it's just so like, it's just so good. The tension, the chemistry, sex scenes are so good, so fire. We love, we stand. But Rome, like, everything about him is sexy. Everything that he brings to the table is sexy. Like, he's funny, he's a provider, he's wealthy, okay, and he cares about her safety. He cares about her emotional well-being. He cares about her fucking hobbies. He is making her life easy and her knees weak, and that's what life should really be about. That's what all sexy fictional heroes need to be providing, okay? And he provided that in spades, baby. He was everything. He was everything, and I need everyone to meet him. So please, please, put Only for the Week on your TBR. Download it right now. It's in Kindle Unlimited. You need to read it, okay? Like, stop playing with me. It's too good for you to not have read it already. Okay, so in the number 2 spot, we have Restore Me by J.L. Seegers. And this is a story about a woman named Sloane. And so Sloane, her husband passed away several years ago, but she's still really close with his family. And she's also, unfortunately, still close with his best friend named Dominic. And so her and Dominic, they do not get along. They have lots of beef with one another. Kind of beef that has no real rhyme or reason, but they just don't like each other, okay? They have a very antagonistic relationship. But Sloane has really hit a wall where she feels like she is craving intimacy and connection, and she kind of wants to get back out there in the dating pool, but also she wants to end her current dry spell, and she wants to get in a sack with somebody new, okay? And so Dominic pretty much offers himself up as a potential friends with benefits to her. And so even though they don't really like each other, they start boning, and Dominic is very invested in wooing her and winning her over, because this is a second chance romance of sorts. It's a little bit messy, okay, a little bit messy, but a lot of fun. I love Dominic so much, and he is like my favorite kind of hero because he's a really intense in his aura is intense. Everything about him is intense. He's very serious. He's very dramatic. He's a little bit of a drama queen, which I enjoy greatly. And he is so sexy. Everybody needs a service top like Dominic in their life. And when I tell you that the middle of the book is just them getting down, dirty, freak nasty all the time, in all the places, very publicly, privately, here, there, everywhere, they're busting it down. It's so good. It's so good. It's so spicy. It's so steamy. It's so risque. You need to read it, okay? I loved it. It was just so good. Okay, so in our number 1 spot for the sexiest book that I read this year, we have Just for the Cameras by Vienna Oniomo. This book is about 3 roommates, and 2 of them are OnlyFans stars. They are wanting to do a collab with their roommate, Luca. So the setup is that we have this couple named Jordan and Kian. They have a shared OnlyFans page, and in the very beginning of the book, they are filming some content for their page. And while they're filming this content, they're talking to each other about their roommate Luca, and they're very attracted to Luca, and they have this fantasy of Luca kind of walking in on them, being intimate, and him joining the fun. So this is about them having this like joint crush on Luca, and they're very horny about him. And when I tell you that this book is explicit to an insane degree, like you will blush, you will be sweating, it's a lot going on. But I have never read a book that made me so violently want to dive into the pages. Like, put me in, coach, I need to be there. The vibe between them is so insane. Okay, the vibes were so insane and so hot. I loved it. But even though this is very much airing more on erotica than it is on romance, I do think that the romance there is really fun because they are all roommates and they're also like best friends, and so this is a friends to lovers vibe, and they're very hesitant to express how much they like him and how much they want to be intimate with him because they know and value this friendship that they have with him. And so there's kind of just like some concern about if he would even be interested in being in a relationship with them in that way. And so yeah, there's like definitely good build up to their relationship, but they are some of the horniest people that have ever been penned to paper, and I think you guys should read about them. So those are the top 10 sexiest books that I read in 2023. I had to share these really sexy gems with you. I hope you will take a few recommendations away from this video. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what the sexiest books you read recently are in the comments below, and thank you so much for watching. I will see you all in my next video, hopefully. Bye, you guys. Mwah.